Namaste to all. My name is Kamal Raul. I'm working at Ruduk and I will be facilitating the closing session of the conference. We would like to thank you all for your valuable presence in International Youth Conference on Youth Initiative on Transboundary Water Governance and Sustainable Development Goals. Your presence has helped us deal with the matter that has brought us together. We have been able to share about the learnings from one basin to another along with its achievements, challenges, and possible way forwards. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic situation, we were able to successfully accomplish the conference through hybrid design. Some of the major achievements were the commitment from the local governments for sustainability approach for transboundary water governance, youth commitments, and which will also connect and establish a bond among the youths of basin communities to work collaboratively in an integrated approach. Now, we'd also like to inform you that certificate of participation, certificate of excellence, and certificate of appreciation will be sent to the Oxfam offices at Nepal, Bangladesh, India, and Myanmar. Kindly collect your copies from there, or you can also contact the focal person of the respective organizations. Now, we would like to request Dr. Arju Rana Deva, founder president of Rural Women's Development Unity Center, Ruduk, to chair the closing session of the conference. I request Dr. Arju Rana Deva to turn on the video for a few seconds. Thank you, Dr. Deva. Now, we would like to request Mr. Kishan Khatka, project coordinator at NEEDS Kanchanpur, to share the key highlights of the program and the recommendations made during the 3 days International Youth Conference. Mr. Kishan Khatka has more than 8 years of work experiences working in different organizations in the sector of disaster risk reduction and transboundary rivers of South Asia. He is also engaged in strengthening the capacity of women empowerment centers and youths. Over to you, Mr. Khatka.
Thank you very much, Kamalji. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kishan Khatka. I'm working with National Environment and Equity Development Society NEEDS Nepal, currently associated with Transboundary River of South Asia project in Mahakali Basin. First of all, I would like to thanks to chair of the conference, Dr. Arju Rana Deva, chief guest Mr. Remy Paul Hinna, Dr. KK Shrestha, session chairs, presenter, speakers, youth and women, all the participants, organizing team members, including education partners, ULM College, and media partner Kathmandu Press, for your dedicated contribution to make this historic event possible despite the COVID pandemic. Now, I'm pleased to share with you all key recommendations based on the presentation during the 3 days of conference. I will start with the opening session. Key takeaways during the opening session was transboundary water cooperation is recognized as a driver of peace and conflict prevention. Various treaties, agreement, and convention are found across the continents, but not in Asia. In South Asia consists of a number of rivers, river basin, and multiple countries are sharing the same basin, which shows an importance of transboundary treaties, agreement, and convention for the peace and conflict resolution. Similarly, we have another point on multi-stakeholders and donor supports have been effective and required in future too. Multi-stakeholder donor support have been effective in achieving goals to enhance capacity of riverine communities at transboundary level to reduce poverty through sustainable utilization of river resources. As we all know, the transformation is a slow process. The achievements made by the multi-stakeholders need further continuation for if support is discontinued, all the energy invested may go in a vain. Similarly, the day one first session on water governance practice policies in GBM context of land use basin management. The key takeaways recommendations are policies and practices have been found being adopted on the ground too. Which means that during the presentation, the number of presentations shows that a lot of policies were developed. The policies not only developed and documented in a paper, but also implemented in a ground, which will ultimately benefit the riverine communities. And the next point is creating space for youth for sustainable transboundary water governance. We can take an example from Bangladesh. Youth are leading local groups through interaction and meetings. Similarly, youth networks are working with local women's group for advocating transboundary water governance issues across the Ganga, Brahmaputra, and Salween basin too. Similarly, in second session, the feminist leadership with transboundary water governance role and achievement. And the key takeaways are feminist leadership have been crucial to address the water crisis, especially from the gender lens. Women and youth have emerged as a water leader across these 4 countries. They are advocating and lobbying for the right of on transboundary water resources. These efforts are also recognized by the government through policy formation and reformation, also supported by various stakeholders, including NGOs, CVOs, INGOs, and donors. However, there are a lot more to done for the riverine communities to practice their rights freely. The next point is basin community women have been effectively empowered to better handle their issues now. The women and youth from riverine communities have started lobbying, advocating different issues at different levels. Community, local government, and national levels too. For example, in Nepal, communities have raised numerous, issues and take a lot of achievement from the local government. Also, they have local government also allocated, I think, more than 50 million Nepalese rupees for the overall development of riverine community. It shows how communities and youth are engaged in raising transboundary water governance by their enhanced capacity. The day 2 first session was on private sector role in GVM, private sector role and responsibility in Ganga, Brahmaputra, and Meghna basin. And the first point is the engagement of private sector is found increasingly effective for transboundary water cooperation. We can take an example of a number of private sector engaged in raising transboundary water governance issue. For example, Hotel Association Kanchanpur is engaged in Mahakali cleanliness campaign. Similarly, rafting was officially inaugurated in a couple of municipalities in Nepal, where private sector from India and private sector from Nepal come together and inaugurate such events in Mahakali basin. Similarly, in sand mining in Bangladesh, and working with different sugar mills in India are the best example of private sector engagement in Ganga, Brahmaputra, and Meghna basins. Similarly, the next point is on, however, there is presently a need to update the policies of engagement with other stakeholders in transboundary water governance. As we all are aware of, a number of policies were developed in basin areas, but in a changing context, it needs to be revised or reformed as per the changing context, which will more benefit the riverine communities. And the session 2 on Dhangari Declaration into Action, where all the local government commit to continue to support activities of Dhangari Declaration into Action. As the presentation from Mayor from 4 different municipalities shows that the dedication they have shown to the project, the budget they have allocated for the overall development of riverine community. Similarly, the next point is on, they also clearly mention the need of donors and stakeholders support in future too. As I have already mentioned that the presentation from different mayor from different municipality has shows their future plan, where they mention that they need some external support to continue such work in a riverine areas. And the last day of conference, day 3, the first session was on local government partnership, ownership, and funding exit plan. Similarly, the first point is on partnership for resilience building and sustainable development need to be ensured with all the players. It means that strengthening community to community dialogues, local government to local government relation, and private sector to private sector dialogues is more important in terms of sustainability of development in all the riverine communities. And the next point is on opportunity for cross learning on various subjects should be further shared with all in the region. I think cross learning is very important in terms of clearing the myth. I can take an example from Kanchanpur, where the members, the community member from Paliyakalan visit the Bhimdatta municipality, where they discussed on different issues in Mahakali Basin, where they found that there are a lot of myth in between two communities. The Nepali communities thinks that the Indian community opens the gate. Every year we have to face a lot of flood, lot of damage. Similarly, the same thinking from Indian community also. While they discuss in such issues, they found that this is a complete myth. Neither an Indian community opens a gate nor a Nepal community. This is all have different authorities that opens the gate without any information. This kind of discussion helps to clear all the myth in such a way. Similarly, session 2 on role of women and youth in studies and science, that share the knowledge of community groups with all the concerned, means that we can take an example of a citizen science approach, Nadi Baithak, WG can, where communities share their learnings with other community, other government stakeholders, private sector, which helps to develop a common understanding among all level of stakeholders. Similarly, the last point is on provide platform for youth and women to discuss GBP and transboundary water governance issues. This is very important in terms of sustainability of raising transboundary water governance issues. We need such platform where youth and women and other stakeholders can come together and discuss on a multiple issues, discuss on a common issues, and find a proper solution. This is very important in terms of sustainability. And this is all from my side. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Kharka, for highlighting the key recommendations during the 3 days conference. It was interesting to hear about the policies and practice adaptation related along with the feminist leadership, private sector engagement, local government partnership, and the way forward. Now, we would like to request Dr. Krishna Kumar Shrestha, National Director of RUDUC, to share his observation and way forwards. Dr. Krishna Kumar Shrestha brings in 37 years of work experiences in the government of Nepal, leading organizations, national and international projects, programs at the field levels to various senior positions of the ministries at the center. Dr. Shrestha is engaged in PROSA since its designing phase and has played a key role in its smooth implementation. Over to you, Dr. Shrestha.
Thank you, Kamalji. And also thank you, Kisanji, for your set of recommendations. I know you've drawn these recommendations based on the deliberations, presentations, interactions made by all the participants, presenters from the region during the last 3 days, which was very fruitful one, as the recommendation has come out now. It shows a lot of strength in the region that we can clearly see that they have said so, and they all commit to continue the cause in the future too. This is a very welcome situation at the end of the day today, as TROSA 1 is finishing, that we can see there is a satisfaction around, right from the community to the center in all the countries in the region. We must thank the hard work for all the partners of the region. What I can also see is this strength that they are showing is the trust that they all had, the communities, the stakeholders, all the stakeholders, the women, the private sector, everybody on TROSA. The local governments, for example, have committed to continue with so many millions of their funds in the future too. This trust is also based on their understanding on the capacity of the stakeholders, the players that they have on the ground now. This is our strength. And this is the strength that is in the region everywhere in all the countries. And TROSA project needs to be, second phase needs to be built on all these things, all these experiences and learnings that have been so successfully made. It was hard earned in the first phase, but in the second phase, it will be easier as the track road is opened, and there is already a clear understanding by all the people, all the players in the area. Will be easier and faster this time to continue to build on all these achievements, replicate, upscale, wherever we can do it. And we at RUDUC are very happy to be the part of the process to replicate it beyond Nepal even. I think this is time that we all understand the need of the cooperation beyond TROSA 1. I don't need to repeat all the recommendations and all the observations made during the last 3 days, but surely they are showing us the way forward. Every bullet here in the recommendation has long story behind it before it was summarized like that. And we are very confident to carry forward these activities in the future. And therefore, on behalf of all the partners, stakeholders of the region, I like to draw the attention of our donors, our Oxfam friends at PMU, and everybody who can be of any help to them. I think would be very important at this juncture, at this point of time, to make a commitment once again to carry forward unfinished commitments, unfinished uh, programs that we have started to come to a logical end. With this, I'd like to thank once again you, Madam Chair, for your constant support to all of us here in Nepal, and to all players in the region who have been very crucial to bring this conference to a success. I find, as you all find, this is a very, this was a very fruitful, very fruitful event. It was a grand success up to our expectations, and we are all proud of our team. I thank you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shrestha, for highlighting the ways of moving forward for the good aligning with the mission of the conference. We are almost at the end of the conference. Now, we would like to request Dr. Arju Ranadeva, founder, president, and conference chair, to share her closing remarks. Dr. Arju Ranadeva was a member of Constituent Assembly and Parliament of Nepal for 10 years, since 2008 to 2017. She was a member of the Constitution Drafting Committee and served as the chair of the Women Parliamentarians Coordination Committee in Nepal. She has served as an elected regional councillor for South and East Asia for IUCN and the board of IPAS, and chair of the Gender and Biodiversity Task Force of the IUCN Council, as well as a member of steering committee of the Commission of Environmental, Economic and Social Policy, and co-chair on the theme on environment, conflict and security. She has also served on the Bureau of IUCN Council, and she has also been involved in TOSA project since its inception and has also served on the steering committee. Now, we would like to request Dr. Arju Ranadeva to formally close the conference. Over to Dr. Arju Ranadeva, ma'am.
This closing session. I was here right at the beginning of the closing session, and I was really very, very happy to listen to the summarization of what happened in these 3 days. And rightly, as I go back to the time when we were planning TROSA, and I met with the planners who came from Oxfam headquarters, and also from Oxfam in the region. And we sat around the table, and the presumptions that we had made, who should be involved, what should be the features of this program. It was all, of course, it was a learned guess about what we should be doing, because Makali Basin was a relatively unexplored area. We did not know what type of partnership we would find there. Though Oxfam did have programs in DRR, food security, but not really on the Makali River itself, on a cross-boundary river in this area. I'm sure in other countries also, in other basins also, it was a similar experience. But I'm happy to notice there are assumptions about what could come about if we brought all these synergies together has come true. Our learning in these years have really shown that the involvement of women, the involvement of youth, the involvement of private sector, which are mostly not considered as real key stakeholders or partners in managing cross-boundary rivers. The involvement of these three, very much their group, has shown that we can really move forward in managing the resources, in making the community feel they're part of this very, very important management of the water basin, as well as this involvement has led a lot of support to the governments at the national, regional, and local level. I think this has been the biggest takeaway for me, that transboundary rivers are not only about big projects, about boundaries, about big transport, but it is also about the real life of people who have who fend a living on the side of the rivers. So I think this learning has also been reflected in the fact that the voices raised by these communities are the real voices. These are not people who've come from Kathmandu or Dhaka or Rangoon or even UK or SIDA, whoever has been Sweden, who have been supporting this program. These decisions, these early warning systems, these water users group, the water irrigation, the sand mining, working with the sugarcane mills. These are all features that have been taken up by the people who live in that area. And I think as a group of non-governmental actors, we have been very successful in bringing together all these communities under one umbrella. So this is the juncture where we've reached. I'm very happy to note. But where do we go from here? That is the other big question. And in my previous life, I was a development practitioner as well. I always think, it's always good, when we start a project and there is so much excitement and then we have so many ideas. Of course, sometimes the projects are not as successful as this one. But okay, if we develop a good model, then where do we go from there? I know, right from day one, we were looking at sustainability. We were looking at how we can link this with what exists in the countries. And I think to a certain extent, we have been able to do that, at least here in the Hungary Declaration, the involvement of the private sectors, we have sort of been able to ensure that some of these initiatives will be carried on. But is it enough? That is the question. Do we need some more time to really fortify the model that we have? And despite COVID, despite this very difficult time where we cannot really go out to the field, a lot of good work has been done. So though I hate to keep asking donors for more resources, what can we do to ensure that all of us can come together and work? What else can we explore within our own countries? What else can we explore in the region? And what can we explore globally in this very, very important sector? Because water, transboundary waters is a source of peace, source of conflict, and source of great development. So which is the path that the people and the countries in these three basins are going to take? I've seen the example of the Mekong. I mean, it was tremendous, what they've been able to achieve despite the bitter conflict some of the nations living around that basin had. Compared to that, we have nothing. There's small incidents that people want to flare up. Even now on this way to here, there was an incident where somebody fell in the Makali River and people are trying to make it into a huge issue. Do we go down that path or do we tell our people from both sides, let's not get into such risky practices. Let's offer options where people can transcend the boundary more easily, more safely, more conveniently. So this is the kind of dialogue that I think this kind of program can bring about. So these are the things that I hope we can still carry on in the future. And I would really like to thank Oxfam, SIDA, and all the different parties to this program, whether it's ISIMO, the IUCN, or the Water Convention Secretariat, who have nurtured us along. The Tribhuvan University professors, I'm sure there are professors who were also part of this program in other countries, who have lent us their expertise, who have lent us their wisdom, who've given us resources, given us time. I think, thank you so much. But maybe we should put together our heads for two things. One is to solidify what we've already done in the existing areas. The next is, at least the learning in Nepal has been, and I was quite shocked because in Nepal, the assumption is the more east you go, the more developed everything is, and the more west you go, the less developed everything is. But in this context, I was in a way happy to know, but in a way sad also to learn that people living along the Kosi and the Gandaki rivers, they are not organized at all in the way that our communities have been organized now. So is there some cross-learning that can be done in other basins? That is one question. The other is, how do we ensure that what we've learned, we've spent so much time, resources, technical assets, everything in these past few years, how are we going to ensure that this carries on into the future? I think these are the two key questions that is playing on everyone's mind, and the future generation, the youth. And today is also Youth and Youth Day, Youth International Youth Day, and the topic is very closely related to water. It's about food. So everything that's related to human life, whether it's food security, whether it's drinking water, whether it's irrigation, whether it's water for hygiene, whether it's water for electricity, everything is based on water. It's based around water resources. And transboundary rivers are usually huge rivers. That's why they're called. They are transboundary. Most of them are like huge, huge, big rivers. So what the learnings that we take away from what we've done these few years has to be solidified, and it has to be transferred also. Otherwise, it would have been a waste of resources for just one pilot experiment. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you, Dr. Rajurana Deva, ma'am. Thank you. Now, we would like to thank you all, the committee members, women, youth groups, social mobilizers, volunteers, provincial and local government bodies, chief guest speakers, conference chair, session chairs, organizers, facilitators, speakers, reporters, TOSA partners, and Oxfam, Oxfam in Nepal, India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and Project Management Unit, SIDA, UNEC, ICIMOD, IUCN, WWF, for making this conference success. And we'd also like to thank ULENS Education Foundation for providing the space and other support to conduct this program in hybrid design. Also, we would like to thank the Kathmandu Press for media coverage during the conference. Thank you all. Dhanyavad. Stay safe. May we meet again. Thank you.